There we go. A little echoey. All right, I think I'm good now. There we go. Everything's in my head. And I can turn that down. Okay. So I went to go start Restream a few seconds ago, or like a minute ago, to get everything going. And I use Alfred. So I pop that open. You see it on my screen. I typed re, and then I hit enter right here where it says restart. So instead of nicely going into Restream, I went to and just restarted my whole machine, which is perfect. Exactly what I wanted to do there. So yeah, that's where I'm at today with life and everything, but it's all good. So I'm back now. My name is Joe, if you are unaware. And today I'm kind of doing a little bit of a potpourri of stuff, just kind of things that I need to get done and kind of cleaned up and worked on. That's what I'm going to be working on today. So I really want to kind of start with some front-endy stuff at the moment in time. That's where I think I'm at right now. So let's jump into here and take a look. So let's start yarn watch. So I got that going, and that's actually first thing we need. I posted a video on YouTube today, this morning, about some stuff that I've been doing in SCSS that's kind of making my life a little bit easier actually now. So I'm actually kind of switching over some stuff to work with that. So I got the buttons working, and I'm not going to belabor the point in here, but basically it's a nice way of kind of working with variants of sizes of things and just different media queries and stuff. So the media query stuff is not new for me. I've been using this for a while, but there's also the idea of these sizes and variants that I want to be able to have in my different elements that I create. Now, this is not a finished design by any stretch that I'm working on here. I'm working on what I'm calling like a no design, like quote unquote no design, which is really just my way of saying I'm kind of just making things look somewhat decent-ish, but I'm not designing anything. That there's going to be at some point a designer who has to come in and do some work on some stuff. And when that happens, things are going to change. The only thing I'm doing right now is just kind of making sure that my life as a front-end person is a lot easier when they come in and start making those changes. And the best way that I've always known to do that is, number one, we kind of have the same, like we're working on the same design system. So the designer already knows the sizes of like the grid I'm using and all that crap. Like all that stuff is just kind of put away for us already. We already know that. He knows the sizes of like paddings and margins that I use. I gave him the list of like the Tailwind colors, Tailwind 2.0 colors, because I thought those were good. And I said, let's not use all of them. This doesn't need to look like a, I don't know, clown like jizzed all over the place. It just needs to look pretty basic. Like let's just pick a few colors and you know, but use from this list of shit, and then we'll go from there. So that's the idea, is that he can just pick a few colors, you know, but then I'll have like, you know, we can have all the variants of colors and all that stuff. So to make my life easier still, I've started to work with like how do we handle sizing? How do we handle that stuff? So I've kind of built some basic shit in place here. So variant sizes, this is like the size list. So small, extra small, everything is default medium, so there's no reason to do medium. I only really have the 5 sizes: extra small, small, large, and extra large. And obviously the default size, which is medium. And then I'm just been starting to create a few variants for buttons. So buttons are really right now button, which is like your primary button, but obviously there's no reason to say button primary. It's just button. And then there's the secondary button, there's a success button, and a danger button, which is just like a red color of some sort. As you see, I'm actually using, so this is Sass, but I also use CSS variables throughout all of my code. Why? Because you can actually do more with CSS variables than you can with Sass variables. I know that sounds weird and that sounds like I'm full of crap, but it's not. It's actually really true. Well, maybe you can't do more, but you can do something that I need it to do that you can't do in everything, that you can't do in SCSS. So if I go to like just, where is it? Default variables. So here's my default variable file. I have, again, just here's like my basic stuff. Like here's my pixels for everything, the weight and the color, whatever. Again, these are, I just dumped all the colors from Tailwinds in here for right now, knowing full well that we're not going to use these, but I got them in there. So yeah, and then these are my media query sizes: extra small, small, medium. I have a wide at 900, extra wide, large, and extra large. That's it. So everything else is kind of, that's pretty much it for these things. So what I want to change over today though is the first thing I need to do is I need to change over some of the rest of these files. I was doing two things, and one of them has got to go. Let me bump up the size of everything here. Okay, that should be big enough for everybody to see. If it's not, I don't know. All right, so what I was originally doing was I started kind of building everything out into these default, into the resource directory, and I started just kind of working with, all of your standard stuff. But as I started, I was creating a button.scss file and a whatever form.scss file and all that crap. The problem that I ran into, or not really a problem, but just the thing I ran into, is that I dislike having stuff in too many places. So what I mean by that is, like, I have form.scss, and then I have inside of this file like a bunch of mixins that I'm using throughout, like here, like the checkbox. So this is like pulling in, actually I don't even know if this one is, let's see. Yeah, I'm pulling in like some abstract stuff, and then I'm using like include form element in here, and I don't know if I like this exactly. It's just kind of pissing me off, and I'm trying to figure out a better way of handling this stuff. Like, I don't know if I want, like, I definitely want my CSS scoped inside of my components. So I have to figure out what is scoped into a component and what goes into the partials. And there needs to be a reason as to why each of these things is happening the way it is, or at least in my head, there needs to be a reason. So if I don't have a good enough reason for it, then I kind of have to figure it out. Like, why am I using one over the other? Because if there's no rule in place for this stuff, or at least some sort of tacit understanding of why you're doing it this way, this will go to shit in like 2 weeks of any other developer touching it. And it's not the other developer's fault per se. It's just, it's your fault really for not telling somebody, hey, this is the reason why we're doing it this way, and this is the reason we're doing it. So again, I wouldn't, like, it's not like, oh, another developer is going to touch my code and it's going to turn to crap. No, it's just more of the fact of, like, if you don't tell another developer, hey, this is how I want to handle this stuff, then it goes to crap, because they're going to say, well, how I do it is X. And if your X and their X aren't on the same page, then you're going to have a whole bunch of shit, basically. So that's kind of what I'm working on here right now, is I got to figure out how the hell to kind of get everything in, like, where the hell is everything living, and why, and what are the reasons. So here's what I've come up with so far that I kind of sort of like, and I think I have to move a few things around. So number one, there's an abstract file, and this is, some of these things are going to have to, I think, go. But okay, so we'll actually start off with the app.scss file. So this is where everything gets pulled in. The main important things here is that there has this abstract folder, my normalized CSS, which I still use. I actually don't even know if I need this 100% anymore nowadays, but I do need it it's just kind of a convenience in some ways. My grid stuff, and then like my baseline CSS. So that's what is in here. And then this file, which this definitely has to get the hell out of here. But for right now, it's just living there. So let's just look at the abstract for a minute. So abstract is this, and it's just all of these things are not like, there's no actual CSS in here. There's all that's in here are mixins and things that I can use for other files. So if you look at font real quick, it has these two font mixins that I use a lot. I use a rem one. This is just rem to, like, it's a function to basically convert pixels to rems. So that way, what I found is that developers and designers want to work in pixels. So they'll tell you that they want like a font to be bumped up 2 or 3 pixels in size. And I want to work in rems. And if you're working like, and there just becomes a disconnect because you're like, okay, 2 pixels would be 0.1 rem each, but I got to multiply that by 16, or what's my base font size? Like, it just becomes horseshit that I don't want to deal with. So what I do to make it easier is I can just always work in pixels, but I just use a function rem to convert it over for me. And this is the math to do the conversion. It's your pixel font size, whatever that is. So let's say 10. Or let's say 16, because that's easier. So if your pixel font size is 16 pixels and your base font size is 16, which it is by default, so you do 16 divided by 16 times 1 rem, that equals 1. So the answer is 1 rem. So 16 pixels equals 1 rem. But then when it gets weird, if you want to do something like 18 or 17, don't do 17, but if somebody did 17, you can do 17 divided by 16 times 1, and you'll get the correct answer. And the only reason for the times 1 here is just to append the word rem to the whole thing. So that's what that does. Okay, so yeah, you can see what this is doing like that. This one has more stuff in it, obviously, which is just, this is the stuff that makes my grid. This is the grid maker. It's got some base column stuff, and then just this is like, you know, this does all the grid work for me. Yeah, and then that's the each loop at the bottom that does like all the queries and everything. Now that I see this though, I see, okay, but this is something that I have to work on too. I have now this is my sizing stuff. So this does the at size, the variance. This is my with queries mixin that does all of the mixins for, like, this will do all of my looping for my mixins and stuff, or for my functions. But now I have this media query thing here, and then I have this media query thing here. So I'm gonna get rid of this, but I think as soon as I get rid of this, it's gonna blow up in a couple other places. So I need the size one or the queries one. I don't need both. And what I really don't need is to take with queries and just move it over there, because then that becomes one function that just kind of lives in its own weird and random place. So yeah, so I guess that's actually probably a good place to start, is just ripping that thing out. But let's just see if there's anything else. Oh, and baseline is just my baseline HTML. So this is really kind of like my reset. I have a bunch of like just reset stuff in here that does that I do. So, you know, margin with, you know, typography stuff. This is, you know, things that make sure I zero out. I've taken, like, I've kind of cribbed a lot of these styles. Some of this is from Normalize. Some of this is from some newer things than Normalize, other than Normalize. So I just kind of like pull in stuff that I like from everywhere, and mash them all together and kind of make my own little baseline file. And I think that's really it. Yeah, and I do some other, like, just, you know, again, like some of these things you'll probably see inside of, well, these should be like more than just what you see in Normalize, because I have Normalize. So it's like basically it's just extending Normalize stuff. I think that's really all it's in here. Yeah, and then I have a few other things which I'm gonna get rid of these. I don't actually want these in here. So I was doing some like make this a block, make this hidden, make this thing flexbox. I don't think I want this stuff in here. So that's actually the first place I'm gonna get. Let's kill this stuff out. Now my goal here is to not see any errors as I do this stuff, but there's gonna be errors, I'm pretty sure. So every time I kind of delete this stuff, it's gonna blow up somewhere else, I'm assuming. But as long as it stays green for now, I'm just gonna keep moving through. But something at some point will invariably blow up, and that's what I'm gonna be fixing. I have this debugger. I never use it. I literally never use this thing. I think I'm gonna just kill it. And nothing broke. All right, cool. These font things are fine. The media query. All right, so this is the one I'm gonna delete. But before I delete this, I need to go back over to here. So with queries is the mixin that I'm going to be using everywhere now. Yeah, so this is the one I'm going to be using. These are the ones that are going away. So I'm going to delete that. Before I delete the file, let's keep the file there, and then let's go into. Actually, let's go into it first. So really, there's just there's query and at. Like this was a fine idea. There was nothing like it's literally I kind of used this same thing, but just the other way I'm doing it in the other file is slightly better. So all right, well I know I need the changes out of grid, so let's go to grid, and now I can just do dot call. Yeah, see the way I did this here, I can actually do it now like this. So I had this is what I wanted to change out. One of the reasons why I wanted to change this out. If you wanted to have two separate like things, like let's say you want to have generated CSS, you want dot call and something like xs, xs call like that. This is what it's supposed to generate, right? The way I was doing this grid maker stuff before, that I had to have these things as two separate. So I had to have an each down here that does all like the XS, SM, all those things. And then I have to have a separate one up here that just does the no media query stuff. I put that all into one function, or I keep calling it a fucking function, and into a mixin, just to get make it easier on my life. So now what I can just do is include with queries. Save this. Okay, well that worked. Cool. I should definitely go back to Firefox and see if anything changes here. Let's just look at this button real quick and see if I refresh it, if anything blows up. No. All right. Go on to another page. Well, that took an inordinately long amount of time, but good news is everything is still there. Okay. I'm not worried about the inordinately long amount of time for this moment. So that means everything is showing up correctly. So that, because this is all, well, before I say that, let's go back here. Yes. Okay. So it is, you can see that I'm using media queries in here to actually make this thing flip correctly. So this is now a 10 column centered item. And then when it gets to when it goes to the other view, it changes to, I think like this one's like 8 columns and this is 2 columns and they're both centered. So I can see that it's all working, and then it drops down to 10 and 10 centered. So, okay, everything there is working. Cool. All right. So grid maker with queries is working very nicely. I think I need to still leave in this grid maker stuff. Yeah, like this is the thing that actually does the making of the grid and all the columns and everything. So that's fine. That's good there. So what happens now if I just, well, I'm going to get an error. So let's get rid of this. Where is that? I keep that in probably abstract. I'm just going to delete that line first. That should be the only place that's being used. Did I see an error? Yep, there was an error. What is that? Undefined mixin at. Okay, cool. So there we go. That's, oh, in register. Okay, yeah, this is, number one, this has got to go away anyway, this page. So yeah, this has got to come out of here, but I can, for right now, I can just say at media. Oh wait, I didn't have a var for that. What do I have for that? Default variables. That's what I want. So I want MQ map get MQ. Oh no, I think it's MQ and MD. I think that's the order of things. Undefined variable. All right, maybe it was just that. Undefined mixin at. Where are you now? You're still in register. Didn't I just save this? Or is it somewhere else? Oh, it was somewhere else. Yep. All right. All right. So, cool. That's good. That means those are those things I can get rid of now. Actually, don't mind this. This is really not that, like, that the end of the world having to write that. All right, but that's okay. So now it's not being used. It's gone away. I can just delete this guy. Boop, go away. Cool. All right, let's go look and see if there's anything else. I like deleting. Deleting is fun. You just get rid of all like crap that you don't need anymore, that you're not using. It feels very just like uplifting in code. It's like, I got rid of that crap. No more crap. All right, so again, the way the abstract works, it's pulling in all of these things. So it's pulling in fonts, size stuff, and default variables, which all make sense to come first, then form. So form is the one that, this is the big hairy pain in the ass that I got to figure out what I'm going to do with here. So these form things are what really map to my my components down here. So the problem I'm having, I guess it's not a problem. There's just a bunch of crap in here. And I think my idea was interesting at the time, but I don't know if it's right. My idea originally was that this will be kind of like the place for all your mix-ins, and then you use the mix-ins in the component. So anytime you're gonna like make something like this is what an extra large form element should have. So it should have a font size of 20, a line height of this, and a var of that. You would put that in here, and then you use that in your components somewhere else. So it's kind of like this becomes like a global definition area, and then your components just use those things only when they're truly global. The problem is, I don't think any of these things are truly global. Like like form button, I took this out of here already. This isn't being used anywhere because nowhere in my code other than in the button.view file should you be defining what a button looks like. So that already can go. I don't think I'm using that anywhere. I shouldn't be using that anywhere. Yeah, so I took it out already. So, if you look at button, the way this works now, here's my styles for it. So I just put the mix in right in here because I do need this mix in. Like it just makes better sense to be put for this to be a mix in somewhere. So, okay, so fine, great. But it can live right in this template file. Like that's just the template. Here's the CSS for it. And then the sizes for the button live here right next to the button. So this is the size for the extra small, whatever. And then any button variants would be in here too. So again, I don't need to actually, and then here's actually the definition. So there's a button, there's a secondary, there's success. So all the button crap is in here. Done. Or what else do I need to do? So, okay, that's the first one. Button is gone. Let's see if we can just clean out the rest of these things. So see, again, like I created... I was doing something up here which I thought was a good idea too, but again, now I'm kind of like leery on even doing this. I'm trying to just dial down the complexity. Like that's the other thing I'm trying to do here is like this isn't complex, but it's more complex than it needs to be. So what I do here is basically I kind of have this concept of global variables and local variables that I've always followed, which is like even in SAS. So the concept is basically you have a global color, blue. And then you want to make the header for your item blue. Instead of calling blue, you say form header item blue. So that way you just, and then anywhere else in the form you need to use that, you can kind of just use it. And those variables go at the top. So you can see like I have, this is cool gray. and form, but the variable that you use is called form text color, and then I can kind of use that everywhere else. But you see, I'm not even doing that everywhere, because while it seems like a good idea in theory, in practice, sometimes you're just moving fast and trying to get shit done, and you end up not using it. So, all right, let's take this form and text color. Like, there's two places for this. That this is where it's like, and again, to me now that I think back on it, I'm like, this is just dialing up complexity that doesn't need to be there. Form border radius. So look for that. Form border rate. Form border. All right, so form border. I think there's two places for this. Unfocused and then focused, or just form element. Broken so far. Oops, see, I did use that variable in a mixin somewhere. Form group, okay, yeah. All right. Like, I think if I go back to that, I have to have a better plan for it. So for right now, I want to kill these out, and then I'll figure it out. Okay, so form font size. Like, I don't even think I need this because it's 16 pixels. I'll put it in just to be explicit, but right. This is REX40. All right. REX40. Ooh. All right, so save that out. I know that threw a bunch of errors at me. Yeah, okay. So border radius is really, actually, I mean, that's like stupid. That's the only one. So again, I get the idea that I was going for. I just don't think I've executed it the way I want to. Okay, so let's go into there and just clean up that thing. Actually, maybe that's the idea for what this file is then. Maybe this is really just variables that would be global to a section or something. So instead of using px40 for like the line height of like a form, I just have a variable called line height. Yeah, I don't know yet. The unknown is what's I'm not super happy about here. It's like the idea that I just don't know exactly what this is, and my feeling is that my gut says if you're not 100% sure what you're doing with this yet, don't uncomplicate it first and then go back and make it more complicated later. Okay, so where was this issue? Form group. Form group. Yeah, see, I've got. So this is the item that does my the what I'm calling a grouped button, or sorry, a grouped input. I don't even need this, but like part of this. Okay, so this is actually even more complex than I want it to be right now. Hold on. Like that. Part of the joy of potpourri work, you just get rid of stuff that you don't need. So form border radius. This goes as you see it. R radius 2. Form border. Oh, wait, why is this not saved? Okay. So form line height, form border, all these things. They need to now see now. Oh, okay. This is one file that has this. Form input just has these two elements in there. Like this becomes completely obscure. Like, you know, I have no idea what that even means. Why is that? So then look at form item. Radio. This is a form element with some extra stuff. Select is probably the same thing. Yeah, it's a form element with a bunch of extra crap in it. Text area is basically just form element again. Validation wrapper should be just input pre-input. What the hell is that? All right. Okay, so I gotta figure this out. Because all of these elements do share some sort of global thing. But again, it's not 100% clear why one thing is done in one place and one thing is done in another. Like, so the question I would like, you can look at this and even ask the question, and I think that's like, you know, somewhat important to ask. Okay, fine. You have an error with a label. That makes sense. Color var 500 red. Perfect, fine. Why am I defining just var 500 red here, and yet somewhere else I'm saying form color, form error? I would say form error color or something like that. So like these are the questions that I want to answer. So that way I'm either saying, yes, anytime it's a variable of any sort, it should be done in on the form, or it should be done somewhere else, and then use those something else's inside of here. I think what I'm going to say for now, I could change this later, obviously. So it's not the end of the world if I choose this one way over the other. I think I'm going to just go with anytime there's a variable defined for a particular thing, you should probably define it where and why. Okay. I think how I'm going to do this is this. If it's a one-off thing, so let's look at buttons. I go on a button. There's no reason to create a underscore button.scss file just to define mixins of any sort, because this doesn't share anything common with any other element outside of this. It's just the same. It's just buttons. There's nothing else. I guess if I were to create, yeah, okay. If I were to create a badge.view file, let's say, and let's pretend badges looked identical to buttons, but they're unclickable. That's when I would create some sort of button badge.scss file and then move all the mixins to that, and then potentially use like follow that, like use conventions inside of there. I think that would make sense. Now, you know what? I'm just Occam's razor. I'm going with like, what's the simplest thing that I can potentially do here? I don't want to even convolute this any more than that. Everything is going to live inside these files. And I'm not going to have the, like, I'll have just anything that like has to be super, like that I'm using globally will be done in here, but I'm not going to fucking create like variables inside of this file unless I really, really need to. And I don't know the reason why I would definitely, like why I would really, really need to. So this will be just for global mixins. No variables, just mixins. All right, that's what I'm going to do. So with that being said, that means I can leave this in here just to make sure that there's no form element unfocus, focus. All right. What is form X small? Do I even use this anywhere? I don't even know if I use these things. That's what I don't like about this. It's like all of a sudden you're looking at this stuff and you're like, do I use this code anywhere? If I don't use this anywhere, all right, let's do at include form medium form X small. Nope. Okay, so small, large, and X large. Nope. Okay, good. So these can kind of sort of go away. I'm going to just change these over to the variance stuff in a minute. And I will, I mean, this is for like the groupings and for all those things to be of certain sizes. So this will actually need to be not with form elements. All right, I'll leave this for a moment. Because like this is the stuff I think is always funny about the front end. Like so many times you have developers who've been like purely back end developers for a number of years. They're like, the front end's so easy. And then it's like, no, I got to make sure like shit matches up and looks good everywhere. It's not just like, you know, oh, I can like, oh, CSS, you know, actually I can't tell you how many developers are like, CSS is so easy. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you do it. And they're like, CSS sucks. So yeah. The hardest part about this isn't necessarily even the CSS. It's just making sure that all these little objects and crap that you're creating will like look good everywhere across multiple displays and will make sense everywhere. So like I'm trying to make sure that if I'm like you know I know where these elements go when I'm using them, how the variants are going to be created. All right. So this form element right here. So form element is just like my baseline, setting up the background to be white, setting up the borders for these things, the border radius, the, you know, font size. Okay, all this all makes sense. Padding, position relative, width 100. Yeah. All right. Everything here makes somewhat sense. And the focus form element. Do I need to have that in a separate thing? Maybe I do because of Stripe, because I got some Stripe stuff that has to come in later. So I'll leave those two things in there. And now let's just take that and let's go back over to our form elements. We'll start with form field. Form field doesn't even have, oh, form field is just like my wrapper of wrappers. I do kind of a lot of like compositional view components here. So form field view, as you see, is just like this, like just kind of wraps my validation wrapper, which wraps like the actual input elements in there. So, okay, so this is good. This, I don't need to do anything in there. Form input. This is the actual input items, input boxes. And I've already made a change in here that I need to change. So form item text box. All right, so let's do. This is scoped as CSS. Good. All right. So I would say at include with queries. Do I want with queries in here? Probably with queries. Sizes and variants. And I want what in here? I'm just including the form element. Okay. Oops. Form element. All right. And then I need the right-hand form element to also be in there. All right. So this is a Is this a variant, I think? Yeah, I think this is going to be one of my variants. Do I even use this? Like, see, this is the crap I want to get rid of. Like, if I'm not using it, I'm just not going to have it in here. Let's do a search. So that would be dot form. Oh, that would be, oh boy, form item. Well, for now it would be text box. Right. Let's just see right. Anything say right anywhere? Form input end right, form item end right. Okay, so no, I'm not even using this anywhere right now. Okay. So you can go. Oh wait, you can totally just all go like that. What am I doing? Yeah, form element. So that should be my form element there. Yeah, I know that's broken in that thing. I don't think if it's just that one error for the moment. I have a feeling as soon as I get rid of it, get through this error, it's gonna like shit the bed on me in a couple other places. But for the time being, we can just deal with it like this. All right. Yeah, I don't have any sizes and I don't have any variants, so I'm staying just for that for right now. But that'll work. Form item. Okay, so my items are where I'm actually doing what are these? Jeez. Trying to remember stuff like moving from like PHP to back to Vue, back to whatever. So you're like, wait, where is this? What am I using this? Okay, so the form item is what's I'm wrapping, like, because everything gets like all my label stuff or all my form inputs get wrapped in a label, and that's what this is. So everything gets wrapped in a label, so it's nice and using has nice big click areas and all that stuff. Okay, so that's what this is. And then position is based on where I want the whatchamacallit to be, like the text. So do I want the label text to be at the top, or do I want it to be the side? Which side do I want it on, left or right? That type of stuff. So the default is top. So that's kind of where my default stuff is. And everything else in here is just to make sure that it all, like, you know, you could pick any of those other directions. So everything in here is fine. There's no reason to use sizing stuff in here. I guess I could make these like I could put media queries in here if I wanted to, but I don't see a reason why someone would. Well, actually, no, I could now that I think about it. I could see you wanting to do something where you said, hey, let's have this be small. Let's make our form item left. And then, you know, when you get to extra small, make the form item top. So I could see somebody wanting to do that. That would actually make perfect sense to me. With weirdies? All right, that should do it. Okay, fine. Let's go over to the form group. Order. X16 normal minimum height for the input slot, I think was what, 50? Var, not bar. No, I could use one of those. PX2. No. Radius 2. Ooh, okay, something else. Form border. Where is this? Form group. On. Nope, something else. Okay, form group line 50 something. Hey, all right, that sort of worked. All right, let's see now what we have exploded on our page. Ooh, nothing? Yeah, I know my payment. Why was my payment declined from that? Why are you even trying to make a payment? That's a question. It's like, no, you can't even see the address. We know you don't have the money for this item, so please, your payment is being declined before you even put your card in the system. Well, that's working. So other than that fucking thing popping up for some reason, that's because of the button. So let's go right. Let's go look at that real quick. Customer dot view. Where is that? Register customer view. Okay, there we go. Button type submit right there. Okay, that makes sense. But this one should not be at click. Yeah, why are you? I don't even have submit in here. So why are you being a submit button? Button dot view. That might be something I'm just missing that I don't know. Let's see, what is it doing here and why would it do it? So it's binding all the attributes, which is fine. Disabled if disabled. An icon if an icon exists. I guess I could just say type button in there. I think that'll work. Yeah, well, I could just say type equals button. And I think that'll get overridden by submit buttons because you put type submit. I should double check that before I do anything too crazy here. Let's refresh this page. All right, so now I click this. Yeah, it adds your extra stuff. And this should now decline my payment. Nah, see, it's not. Okay. This is, let's see if that's doing. Inspect the element. All right, console. Yeah, it's not even firing the request. Okay. Interesting. So it's not overriding that. In my head, I thought it would. I guess that actually would make sense because I'm not even on the button. Yeah, okay. So I guess that makes sense. That where to go? Type equals submit. Type equals button. All right, what I'm just gonna do is take that property in there. I'll give this a prop of type. This, I think, makes fine sense. Type is a string only. Default is button. Type is type. There we go. Now my payments declined. Good. And now that's still, what? God damn it. Why are you doing that? Oh, it says button of type. No. Oh, wait. I'm mixing blade with fucking do this. I think it's this one. And then type. Is that? I never remember anymore. Now that's type submit. Good. That should just be a type button. Good. There we go. Now I'm not getting declined. All right. And double checking. Type button. Good. All right. So crisis averted there. Button. Let's go back up here. And now I can just remove this, which is what I want to do. Button class. Yeah. Okay, good. I don't even have it on here. Good. Yeah, so I didn't want to have that thing in there if I didn't need it. I'm going to make this a block, though. Hold on. Oh, yeah, let's just get this all in column. Give that a little bit of breathing room. Block, what am I? Should be 10 column. Okay, there, 10. Button is not taking over the whole space. Why? Margin auto. Not view, go back there. Yeah, I want to change. Okay, so what was not working there was the variant for this. So margin 0. Margin auto is keeping the margins small, so the block isn't working. Yeah, that's, I know that looks silly, but that's what I want. You want it to look silly? Yes, I do. There we go. For a moment. Now we'll go back to the page. MD call 8 centered. There we go. There we go. That works. All right, cool. What time is it? 5:18. Okay. Yeah, let's keep going with this stuff. So just a little bit more cleanup work that we can do on here. Let's see. It just feels like a cleanup work kind of day. Like kids are off from school, still waiting to figure out if the United States is going to descend into madness. Check that. More madness. You know, existential crises, all that normal stuff. So it doesn't feel like the kind of day you want to like start a lot of work. It feels like the day you want to just kind of like, you know, I guess what's the right, you know, as everything's on fire, I'm just gonna brush the, you know, brush the front of the storefront here a little bit, just get that nice and clean, make sure that that's all polished while the world is on fire, all those types of things. That's kind of what it feels. It feels like that kind of day today. So that's what I'm doing. All right, so we have columns working now. This is everything here. I think is pretty good. And then this page, the only thing I got to get rid of, I got to figure out what I'm going to do about the layout, because I don't want this layout actually on this, like in that file before. But all right, and that more shit. Let's move on for a moment. Buttons are nice and clean. Go back to the form group stuff. Now, I did this a minute ago as these things with the queries and all that stuff. But I'm wondering if that's real, if I really need this to be here like this. Look at this stuff again. Let's go look at it back in aggregate, because that's where the issue is gonna lie for real. Form, no, this would be in register index. Let's go back to this page for a minute. So, okay, this actually just answered the question. Those items don't need to. So, okay. All right, so that quickly answered my question, which you probably don't have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So take a look at this form field for a minute. Form field, I put a class of column 10. So the form field, this whole thing, is what's holding the column for all this stuff, which means that things inside of it need to just be at 100%. So they just need to fill up that entire space. They don't need media queries in there, which means like the form text and all of those things. Because I'm not using those items. Like the form input right here is like literally just like, this is inside of a group, which is inside of the field. It has a label and all that crap in there, but it doesn't, I shouldn't be, I'm trying to think if there's a case where I would potentially use a form input outside of a form field, and the answer is no, because the form field and the label, this gives me all the methods of doing all of my validation stuff on here. So no, nope, that won't happen. Therefore, I hate when I say that won't ever happen, because that isn't short distance to it will happen tomorrow. But right now I can just go back to this. Yeah. All right, so form item, text box, handling input, doing everything it needs to do, that making our slugs when we slugify things. Okay, that's good. All right, form, let's just look at label. Yeah, now just in case you are looking at this and you're like, hey, there's an accessibility issue there. Why are you wrapping your form label in a span and not using a label? I'm not. I am using a label. So it's wrapped in a span here because the whole input box itself is wrapped. Like everything gets wrapped into a label. So there's a label around the whole thing. So I just need a span to kind of hold this piece, like just the text. This is like the form label text itself that I need to be able to move around the page. So no, if you're just using a label though, and you're not, like, always use a label. Always use a label. Don't use a span unless it's like, again, like in this case where it's realistically I have label, span with text inside of it, and then the input right there. So okay, so label is good. I think even these things in here are, oh wait, Bloop. I do need to make a quick change to this. This can't be inline block, it has to be block. So if you want ellipsis to show up, which I do, take a look at postal code right there. If I shrink it, oh, you bastard, you're still not, wait, I didn't refresh. Let me refresh. Try that. There we go. I got that ellipsis that shows up there. This doesn't work on inline block. Like you can't get that ellipsis to show up. But I rather, like when items get super small, I put a title tag in there, and it's this postal code, which it's readable. It's perfectly readable by screen readers and all that stuff. But I just want to be able to like, I don't want to jank this and break it onto 2 lines. I want to keep it in 1 line and just do a dot dot dot. Because this is only seen like here, and then it's like there's like 7 pixels where you would see this thing happen. But I want to make sure that when you do get to that point, yeah, there you go. Postal code is still working. Good. But yeah, for some reason, it doesn't work with inline block, this trick. So if you want to do text overflow, ellipsis, white space, no wrap, overflow has to be hidden. These things together should make a dot dot dot. But if your display is inline block, it just all shits the bed. Why? Because CSS. All right, so that is looking okay. Let's look at our checkbox now. All right, so here's a form element. I'm going to change this. Form item, checkbox. If you're wondering why I'm getting rid of these things again, it's like, yes, the ampersand is just like we'll append something to the parent in Sass. So it's a really cool little trick that if you want to do dot dot, and then you can like have a whole bunch of things on other lines, and then at the end of the day it gets created as like form item. I'm removing those because I'm just trying to simplify my code. So I'm trying to make it so that way when you're looking at this, it is more understandable and more readable. And I feel like that is more readable for somebody the first time they come in now. So just making it look a little bit better. Left margin left 3 pixels. Why did I do that? Oh yeah, okay. So this was a weird thing. Now fudge. That was because of this. Hold on. I didn't have 3 pixels of spacing on this item. It was being a little pain in the ass. A little bit of pain. Not a big pain in the ass, just a little bit. Let's get rid of that. 3 pixels. So almost unnoticeable by anybody but who's not crazy. Oh, now you're just going to work. Oh, all right. Okay, cool. Oh, now I know what happened. Okay. So the other day I was having an issue with this thing where like it's probably really hard to see on here. But I was having this stupid issue where the little halo that you get when you like tab over the item, it was cut off. And I was like, this is driving me crazy. Why is it cut off? So I moved it over with a margin of 3 pixels with the intent of going back and figuring out why the hell this was the case. So here's the reason why that was happening. I had before overflow hidden on certain elements. Which one did I have that on? I think I had it on the columns. So I had overflow. Yeah, I had overflow hidden on the column, and I didn't even think about it at the time, but that's what was cutting off. You see the column ends right there, like really close. Like the column is like it butts up against it. So that was cutting off the little hover state. I since removed that overflow hidden state, and now it doesn't cut it off. And that means I can get rid of you. Yes, nice. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so yeah, that was that issue. That's taken care of now too. Good. Form fields. Let's look at this. I don't think there's any CSS in here. No, there's no reason for CSS in here. So again, this is just like my form field is like my part of like the composable wrappers that I build up. So I try to build these form items out of the smallest possible thing that are humanly possible. Humanly possible to build out of possible, whatever. I try to make them really small and then kind of build everything up. So a form item has the position of top, and then the text is in line, and inside of this has the validation wrapper, which does all of my validation stuff. And inside of that is where you put your form input type, whatever that is. So this is where the checkbox would go inside of, or the select, or the radio, or the text area, or whatever. And therefore, I don't have to worry about, like, validation is taken care of for all of these elements because it's already on the thing that gets wrapped up for them. So it's a nice kind of way of just building up these items from something that's super small. Hey, how is that looking? That size is looking there. Can you see it all pretty good now? I'm hoping that size is actually working for you guys. Screen size. All right, so I went like 3 up at this point. On my screen right now looks like it's 6,000%, really. So I'm really hoping you guys can see all the value, like my screen size, pretty well here. All right, so yeah, so I just use these kind of like these form items as like these little composable helpers that build everything up for me. So it works really well. It's super awesome. But a lot of these elements, like these kind of larger wrappers, don't need any CSS. Like there's no reason to put CSS on this. This is just like kind of like a holder of state almost. All right, so that should be good. Form field, form inline field. Yeah, this is the same thing. So this is fine. No CSS here. Form group. Okay, so now this is like the next place of stuff. Starting position here. All right, so form item grouped. Let's see. What are we gonna do? We need to change. Okay, so we have our input slots. Okay, input slots. I'm not using slots anywhere else. Like I'm not using these input slots, I think, anywhere else. They are only on grouped items, which means I think I can get rid of, I think I can take this. I see if there's any form code for this. Form.css. No. Okay, cool. So this has been cleaned out of that stuff. So only just clean up, throw away some of this stuff real quick. Baseline, register. That's good. That should be good. All right. Okay, so yeah, that looks pretty good. Form element. Okay, leave this open. Go back here. Input slot. So yeah, okay, so I think form item. All right, so what is this? Just so we can go from here and figure it out. All right, this code-wise is, let's go back to this page. Is this. This is a grouped form item. The idea here is that you have an input that you want to have some sort of other item on this side of it, like, or on the other, or on this side. So you can have something on like grouped with left or right. And I want the highlight to kind of show correctly everywhere, and I want the like that text to be in the middle, and then you can just, you know, foo, whatever. That's how that whole thing is supposed to work. And it's doing it fine. I think I'm trying to see if there's anything else in here that I should change though. Anything I don't like. Border radius is fine. Yeah, I think everything in here is good. So this is where I'm getting. Oh yeah, and in order to do that style, that's the only weird thing I think about this. You need to use focus within, so that way when you click on this item, when you click on the form item, it says focus within, and it's actually focusing on the inputs. So I don't think anybody else would notice this but me. but there's one little thing there where there's a little bit of a highlight on that I want to see. I bet you I don't think there's a way to get rid of that. Yeah, see there's a, oh, how would I get rid of that? I don't think there's any way of doing that because it's part of the box shadow. And as far as I know, you can't say like box shadow left or right. You'd have to just kind of say box shadow. It looks like something is. Oh wait, no. Unfocus. Yeah, that's how I did that. Okay. Now I remember how I did this. Okay. Let me look at the unfocused guy real quick. This is definitely not needed anywhere else. I'm gonna take this. Literally nothing else using unfocus. And let me look at the element focus real quick. This is actually being used in a couple places though. There we go. That did it. What's driving me nuts is I can't tell if the color is correct. So what this is, so I have this thing, obviously the whole thing grouped. You use focus within to make sure that it's focusing on the grouped item correctly, and then I say if when you're on the then you just unfocus the stuff that's like deeply nested. I don't know, it's kind of a weird way. It's hard to explain, but the focus within thing works and the element is correctly being highlighted, which is what you see here. But I'm trying to figure out if I got the right colors for everything. Again, I'm not using these colors, but I just want to make sure this is unstyled essentially. But at the end of the day, what I want is to make sure that when somebody gives me a style and they say border 3 pixels purple, that when I make it 3 pixels purple everywhere, it's going to be consistent across the board. So I'm doing this to make sure that later on when I get real styles in place, they're all changed, they all work, they all look the same, and I create that consistent look and feel throughout any and all projects. All right, so go back to there. Let's just pop this open a little bit more. All right, so let's go to, I'm going to pull this stuff up. I just want to pull up my inspector to, I'm going to change some colors inside of all this stuff. So let's go into, so all right, so the form item, no, where is this? Yeah, form item text box. That's that guy right there. So the focus within occurs on the form item grouped. So if I were to just add the styles on here, if you go to change pseudo class to focus within, I see it popped in. So that's this right here. All right, so yeah, oh, I don't even need that in there. That's interesting. Oh, wait, there you go. That is actually the problem. Border var 2 pixels radius. What did I do? Yeah, that makes no sense. It's actually this border. Ooh, oh, that didn't work. There's just a blip of a border that I can see on the right hand side here that is going to just drive me slightly batty. If I can figure this out in the next like minute and a half, I'm gonna just increase the size of everything. All right. So if I got rid of the, so it's this. Nope. Change pseudo class, add focus within, so I can just see it. I'm just trying to add a crazy border to this thing so I can actually see this color change. I don't know if anybody else can see this. I'm literally probably the only person who can see this, but I'm like right now, I don't know how well it's going to translate, but there's a little highlight on that I want to get rid of. And when I just highlight this, like if I just click focus within, get the box shadow, it works correctly. But what it is this item inside of it is also getting some sort of form. I think this is the one that's also getting the pseudo class of focus. Yeah. Okay. So if I change this to box shadow, I think it's, I thought it was, oh, no, it went backwards. Okay, good. I thought I was gonna like get rid of all my pages and stuff. I think what I need to do here if I want to get rid of that is go back, focus within. I always do that. I go to the wrong one. Focus within, and then go to the input text box and then say focus. Because that's what happens. You can't say focus, not focus. Like there's no way of doing that as far as I know. But what's happening is okay, so this is all right. So this is what's oh, see, box shadow 0. Okay, so that's I did that wrong. Okay, you can just say box shadow none, and that'll get rid of it. All right, that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I screwed up on. All right, so let's go back here. Box shadow, where the hell is that? So this is what where I was messing up. So it's not box shadow, it's none. That, go back, refresh. Perfect. And now there's no extra little hovery crap right there. But there is a little bit of extra space between these two things. Again, something I don't want my grid to do. Why is my grid doing that? Again, you could say that's what's the big deal? The big deal is just that this is going to lead to some sort of weird inconsistencies with buttons, where now buttons for some reason are living are outside of my columns. So why would that be? I don't want that. So actually the better issue is this an issue with the grouped item doing something funny or the button itself doing something funny? So I put, in this case, I just put the button itself. I made the button itself part of the grid. So here's my grid start right there, like this guy, and I am using CSS grids. So instead of wrapping everything in, like this is just a column right now, but it's 10 columns. So that's why it looks that way. So, okay, both of them right now are in this 10 col centered mode. And so is the button, so that's the label. Okay. There's some padding that I added to that. All right, that's something I got to clean up. Yeah, so there's some extra padding around stuff that I want to get rid of. Oh crap. So this was something funny. I needed, because I wanted the ability to add the extra drop shadow. Again, when I created these columns, I have overflow hidden. And when you have overflow hidden, you need to add a little bit of padding, or else anything that flies outside of that is going to be hidden, which, duh, that makes sense, right? But when you have a drop shadow, you don't want that drop shadow hidden. So you got to add a little bit of padding around the entire thing, so that way drop shadows don't get hidden. So again, I can't tell. I don't know what y'all can see and what I can see here, but the padding, the purple padding, actually lines up correctly with the blue button. Obviously, since it's padding, it's pushed everything inside of it in. So the fix for that, I guess, is what? I guess there's two different things I could potentially do. I wonder what happens if I just add margin instead of padding. Let's see what that looks like. No, that kind of just didn't do what I wanted it to do. Margin, all right, so padding. So that is fine there. See, if I get, as soon as I get rid of it, it looks perfect now. It all matches up. But when I highlight back in here, I had like the drop shadow is gone. You don't even see it anymore. So I want to put the drop shadow back. I want to have the drop shadow, which means I need to have some sort of either get rid of overflow. Which, truth be told, I'm trying to remember why I even put overflow on these columns now. Overflow hidden. Did I have a logical reason for that I can't remember? I guess those are the two fixes, right? I can either just say get rid of overflow hidden, or I can put margin on the buttons. But I feel like that's a game of whack-a-mole, because today I have to add margin to the buttons, and then I create another thing at some point in time, another component, and I also need to add margin to that, and then I have another component and I also need to add margin to that. Yeah, that'll suck. So, okay, I'm going to get rid of the hidden. I'm going to get rid of overflow hidden on the columns and just see where that leads me. Grid, CSS. Yeah, I don't remember why I did that. I can't for the life of me remember why I did this. It'll either come back to bite me in the ass later on or not. I'm not sure. So I guess if it does, then I'll be able to say, well, that's why I needed that on there. All right, that looks better. I have my nice little whatevers all over the place. Okay. Let's drop that back down to 0, back to 100%. Okay. Nice. Let's give it a nice long name. Hit check. Let's go see what the other page looks like. Hopefully I didn't shit this page too bad. Nope. Okay, good. Everything here still looks nice. A little bit more crunched, I think, but that's fine. Still has drop shadows until I get to the card number. I think this is where it, nope, there it is. Drop shadow on there still. Good. Okay. That still has the correct things. Awesome. All right, so that's looking a lot better. Just a lot more uniform. Which again, that's the critical part here. As long as everything is looking good, then I can, then later on making changes becomes a lot easier. Okay, so I don't mind this being that. I don't need to have like that. That's fine. Grouped items. Yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. You know, okay, I'm gonna just. So I want to change this real quick. ED. If I can spell. Again, if you're just seeing like, why am I doing this? It's just cleaner. I feel like at the end of the day, this is going to take somebody, especially somebody who's new to SaaS, it might take them a minute or two to be like, what? How the hell does that work? So I'm just trying to eliminate any complexity that I can find. I think this is important. I'm still leaving this in here. There are places where I feel like that's appropriate, but I think doing that on like, for everything just doesn't make sense anymore. It's just a personal decision I've made recently with this stuff. Okay, I think that looks good there. Yeah, okay, so pre-input and post-input, I need to change that to... I wonder if this will work in... well, no, they're really... Yeah, they're elements, so... I kind of don't follow BEM anymore. I do and I don't at the same time. So this is kind of like BEM-ish style. All right, that works. I don't think I broke anything. Wait, I did break something. Pre-input, post-input. $61. I think they're all matched now. Oh, nope, that is an extra one. Sweet. It's all working. Should go back. This is all janked. I don't know what happened. Nope, looking good. All right, that's good. This page is looking good. Everything here now I think is cleaner. Makes sense. I understand why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. All right. Where am I using this input slot? Am I using that some? Okay, yeah, I am using it here. All right. Slot, input slot. Okay. All right, form input now. Let's see. This is just the form element, nothing else going on in here. Form item. This should be, yeah, I don't need the padding in there. Form item with queries. Does that make sense? Nope, I don't think so. Let's look at this. This should be a form item. Wait, let's see, hold on. Form item text box. Yeah, it doesn't make, that doesn't make any sense because no, this is the form item top. This is, oh. Nah, it doesn't make sense to have this in here. This doesn't need to be queried. The more I think about it. Again, the idea is that why would I have a, like, the form item is something like, it's like a nest, like a thing that's deeply nested inside of like 3 items. I can't imagine a scenario where I'm going to want to do that. The good thing is that if I want to go back later and say, yep, this is going to have queries, I can do that. Not horribly difficult to do. Form item left. All right. There's top. There's left. There's right. It's interesting how much certain things change as you get a little bit, like, I don't know if it's experience or older or both. And you just get old and you get a little curmudgeon-y with certain things. And now all of a sudden I look at like, whereas before I was before even like probably a year or 2 ago, I was much more inclined to just say like, oh, you know, just use ampersands everywhere and kind of just like dot ampersand into all of my stuff. But doing it this way makes things a lot, just can make things a lot, I don't know, I feel like it makes it a lot clearer nowadays. So I think this is good. I find myself being more in a position where it's like I want something to be as completely more like, I want it to be super ridiculously readable. And I want no one to ever look at it and say, what's that thing do there? How does this ampersand thing work? I just like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that crap in my code anymore. Which is funny because I was not always that way. I was always like, yeah, let's use the newest crap. I'm like, yeah, how can we make this so esoteric and unreadable that other people would not understand it or something? I don't know. I don't know I don't know what's changed. maybe it's just 2020 in general. I'm like, you know what? Everything's fucking crazy, so I might as well just make some sort of, I don't know, annoying change in my life. I want to be less annoying. That's what it is. I want to be less annoying. All right, change that to that. And that covers that, and that's extra. Oh yeah, this is a form item. Select. And that should be that for the text area. I forgot about the text area. Ooh, wait. Don't I have something called text area, or did I have it called text box? What did I call it? Text box. All right, that is now clean, taken care of. I don't think there's any modal code yet. I started a little bit, but not a whole lot. Toasts, there should be a little bit, yeah, but nothing really going crazy there. And icons are just my little SVG icons for right now. So there's nothing major going on there either. And there shouldn't be any CSS for this yet. So, okay, so good, so cool. All my CSS now is a little bit cleaner. Files are a little bit more understandable. HTML is now all kind of in line with itself using the dashes. Why the hell do I like? Hold on, let me move this. This was just something that was bugging me a little bit. Actually, I don't even think there's anything else using this focus thing. So why don't I just do that? No reason to have a mix-in if you're not ever using it. Oh, something is using it? What the hell is using it? Form element focus. Okay, form group wasn't using it. Now I'll use it. All right, these things can all go, and these things have to, so for this stuff, I need to figure out a way of creating, like, using variants for these. That way I can use small, large, medium, or whatever, but I'm not gonna do that part today. These can stay here for now. They're literally not doing anything. Yeah, I'm not using them, so it's fine for the moment. Okay. That's all taken care of. Where do we go today for the rest of the potpourri stuff? Let's see. So, cleaned up our forms. Well, okay, the next big thing I want to actually work on is we got all the registration stuff working. So you can register by, or buy and then register and set up your stuff. There's nothing for onboarding because there's no reason to do onboarding in this software. Onboarding is going to be something that's like specific to each piece of software built on top of this. So no reason to do onboarding stuff in here. I can do user stuff actually though. I can do users, I can do some basic customer stuff. I can do, the thing I actually should, yeah, so, okay, let's do logins. So let's actually do that, make logins work. So I'll make logins work. This isn't just a today thing. But I think my next steps are, to make a list. Let's make a list. Over the next couple of videos, what I want to do. I want to do login, log out. Login, log outs. After we get that taken care of, that's just, then I should probably just do forget password too. So make sure I get that stuff working, which that's not really, that's fairly trivial, especially at this point. I already have the token system in place. So we'll do that. We'll do, regeneration of tokens. I didn't actually do that, so that'll be the first thing we do. I'm going to try to put this in order. Regenerate token, activate token. Expires. All right, so I want to get rid of we're going to do the regeneration token, log in, log out, forget password. After that, I think what would make sense? I think that would make sense to do the user pages, then do the user pages are easy and kind of funnish, I guess, to do, which is why I want to go into there, because it's like, oh, I get to make forms and stuff to update different users. But I think there's two big areas that are going to be, no, they're not pain in the ass, but like the two big, all right, so I'll put this in, let me write them down and then we'll put them in order. So it's customer updates, customer updates, we'll call it. Ability to update / view data. And there's users, pages, or members. Member CRUD. And then what? So we have the customer kind of CRUD data, and the ability to update and view data in there. We have the members being able to do stuff. And then there's what's that other thing? Oh, super admins. So I think this is I actually think this is the right order. Now that I see it. Yeah, so regenerate tokens, that's number one. Let's just get the ability that way, if something expires, you can actually go in there and create your new token. So if you pass the 72-hour window, it just says, hey, sorry, you can't do this. It automatically regenerates a token, sends it out to you. That's what that is. That's the next video. Along with login, log out, which is super simple. Really, we just need a form to be able to do the login, log out stuff. Then there is the forget password, which is basically just that same login, log out form with the ability to set your password and like sending an email. Then it's customer ability to update and view data. So what that means there is we need the ability to, like the customer, there's two different types of users in my system. There's members and there's customers. So the customers are the people who paid for the thing, right? They need to be able to view how many workspaces they have open. They may need to view like update the credit card that they have on file, all that stuff. Like, how do we do that? How do we update credit cards on file? That's all Stripe taking care of stuff, and Cashier has the ability to do all this. So that's what we'll kind of work on with that. Member CRUD is just the member like pages, be able to create, read, update, or delete new users in the system. Oh, and setting up roles and roles. Which actually might be a little complex because the roles in our system, there's like 7 or 8 different roles that you can be. It's not, I don't do like granular roles. I just do like basic, you're an editor, you're an admin, you're this. So once you have those roles, like then it's just a matter of saying, okay, you're in this workspace, you're in workspace A, and in workspace A, user 1 is the admin. In workspace B, user 1 is the editor. In workspace C, this member 1 does not have access, no access, and then things like that. So want to get that in place. Then once we do that, it's going to be some super admin capabilities. So the only, like, this is a little bit of that's probably one of the trickier ones that I'm going to have to figure out, because multi-tenant, multi-database, if I am a super admin, I need access to everything. How do I get into, without injecting myself in the database? Like in the beginning of the thing, like when I first set up the projects, that's what I don't want to do. Like if you think about it, how do you get yourself, like how would you give yourself access as an admin to every site if you need that access? There's probably a couple different ways of doing it. The bad way, I think, or just a way that would be not necessarily great, is to every time you spin up a new site, you just immediately inject yourself as the super admin. So every time, like every site that gets spun up, you now have access to. I don't think that's a good approach, because I mean, just imagine the like, what would you do then if you had another super admin? You'd have to like go through. If you have 100 websites or 100 things, you have to add yourself 100 customers. You have to add that new person to every single database. If you have 50,000 customers, you have to add that user, and then you have to remember to delete them every time that there's a new, like anytime they leave. And what if you can't delete them from something because they are actually a customer also? So like there's like weird wonky rules that could be there. So I think that one's going to be a little bit tricky, because we have to figure out, how do you allow a particular type of user, a super admin, access to all the stuff, but only when conditions are permitted. Like when, like, you know, there's got to be some sort of like rules around this. Like it should be something where the user is like, okay, I'm going to go into this, or I'm allowed, the customer is allowing me access to their site as a super admin now, and then you have to like inject them in somehow and then remove them. So I'll have to think about that one. So that's probably good to be last. But let's see now. So yeah, these are I think the next couple of videos. I think this order makes pretty good sense here. Regenerate activation token if it expires. Let me see if there's anything else under that I would think about. Regenerate expiration token or token if expired. Yeah, I think that's all that would have to be there. I think that's all that needs to be said. Log in, log out, forget password flow. That makes sense. So what goes under here? This is view invoice, right? Invoices, cancel account, upgrade account, add new, yeah, what is that? I guess that's CRUD of the owner. So an owner is somebody technically different in the system. So an owner is like the customer. That's the person who gets, so you have the ability to add multiple owners. So that way you can remove owners and things like that. I guess, I don't know, CRUD in a sense, CRUD credit cards. That would be what I think those things need to be. And then remember, this is, let's see if there's anything else that I would want to do in that. Well, oh, I know I'm going to need a component for this. So I know that there's a new component search tables. I just know that that's something that I'm going to have to build at that point that I don't necessarily need anywhere else. So like a data, I guess this would be like what, a data table? We'll need to create a data table there. Super admin ability to inject a particular admin into a particular site only when the, yeah, I guess what would it be? So ability to inject a particular admin into a particular site for a limited amount of time. Or something like that. Like that. All right, cool. So I think this is kind of my own personal marching orders. I'm going to be streaming, I think, tomorrow. So I'll be working on some of this stuff tomorrow. I'm going to kind of just go straight down this list. I think that's what makes the best sense. So tomorrow I'm going to work on the regeneration tokens and log in, log out, and hopefully I can get through. I feel I can get through this like this is day one. Here, this is Friday, let's say. And then this stuff is going to take a little bit of time. So let's say Monday through, Monday through, geez, I have no idea. There's going to be some Stripe stuff in there that I got to figure out. So let's just give myself to Wednesday, Thursday, to figure that stuff out. And then let's say Wednesday through Friday for the member crud stuff. That shouldn't be too difficult. And then the following week, this will be, so just later. All right, so yeah, here's my fancy. Some people use Trello. I just write it here. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're and if you're watching this later, please, give me a like, thumbs up, whatever. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch or any other platform I'm streaming on, again, thank you so much. Give me whatever likes, thumbs up, and whatever. If you just want to give me the finger, that's fine too. So have a great one, everyone. See you all tomorrow.